Alert's about making men of character, men of God, men who will be able to be there for their families for the long haul.
Well, this is for young men who say, I want more. I'm not content with where I'm at.
We're all called to lead in some capacity, and we need to be ready and equipped and prepared to do so.
ALERT stands for Air, Land, Emergency Response Team. They train young men in how to respond to emergency natural disaster situations, and they've been involved in a number of even national crises, cleanup responses, helping evacuate, responding to those situations. I've known of the program for a number of years before we made the project, and so when I heard that they were looking for a new video, I was quite eager to work with them. And we both wanted to work together. Not every project happens overnight, but we did want to work together, and we kept in touch, and eventually we were able to get the details worked out to get the project off the ground. As we started talking to them about a new video, they had one they'd used for quite a while. But some of the concern was that it was like 10 minutes long and focused more on the skills training, which they have fantastic skills training, and they have different phases that the young men come through. They still wanted to focus on the skills element, but they also wanted to put more emphasis this time on the heart behind the ministry and how they're reaching young men and challenging young men to be men from a Christian background and perspective. And they wanted to see that featured a little more in this video. They also wanted something shorter so they could play like at a booth, at a conference, or play at a, when someone's gonna come out and speak or talk about the program at an event. They wanted to have a video that they could play beforehand that was short enough that would still work. Some of the questions we like to talk about with clients early on in the process are things like, what are your key mission statements or key themes or values or any unique points to the ministry or organization? What kind of sets you apart, and which of those things need to be focused on in the video that we're making, that's being created. So for ALERT, one of their key themes is forging extraordinary young men for the cause of Christ. And some of the other themes that they or wording that they wanted to focus on was like brotherhood, spiritual disciplines, and mentorship. So we started to brainstorming some ideas of what that might look like visually and how to communicate those things either in the interviews themselves or even through the footage that we capture that will go with the video. How can we show those things, if possible, without always having to tell? One of the key benefits on this project was that they had been capturing footage for years, for different sessions when the men came through. They had taken trips, they had filmed on all kinds of different rescue operations, training exercises, and they had a massive library of footage that was available to us to use in the video, so we didn't have to spend the time recreating or traveling a ton to capture that footage again. So we went through a lot of that and started seeing which pieces would fit, which pieces would work, what things we might need to recreate or get additional pieces of for the new project. But that was incredibly helpful to have that resource available that we could use. And because ALERT is a very rigorous and physical training program, the military is often one of their kind of competition, if you will, in some regards. So I started digging into Army promo videos or what other types of videos that the military puts out, just to see what type of material was being created to reach a similar demographic. I wanted to see if there was anything there that overlapped with the way ALERT does what they do. So we don't want to make a video that just looked like the military. We want to be true to ALERT, but yet try to reach the same demographic and blend those together. And looking through the videos, I found a really cool example of lines of individuals doing drills, standing at attention, and it had a very stylistic lighting. Had strong lens flares, and it was very cinematic, but it was all obviously staged. I thought it might be an interesting idea to see if we could pull off something like that and interweave that through the ALERT promo. Because this project wasn't local, we also took notes on any possible locations that we could film on their campus. We took extensive notes on the classes that were happening, the availability of the guys, the size of the groups that were there, who could be available what days. We also needed to schedule interviews for which days and pick locations. So all of that was part of pre-production process and trying to do as much planning before we actually arrived on location to do the filming. One of the things that's really nice about this type of organization is that they're very organized and very efficient, and they have a clear structure of authority and who's in charge of what and how to get things done. It was a breeze from that standpoint. For the production, I was in the role of kind of helping produce, but mainly directing. My wife Sarah was taking a heavy role of the producing side of things and logistics and helping make sure things were scheduled and people were where they needed to be and communicating with the client. I also brought my brother Benjamin, who helped with PA work, camera operating, and was just an all-around assistant for me. I also brought in my friend Alex Lerma for a couple of the days when I knew we were focused on the specialty footage that I wanted to look very cinematic. I wanted some DP, lighting, grip, kind of backup assistance to make sure that was able to look as good as it could be. Once we got on location, we started doing location scouts and checking different buildings and options that we might have for filming the interviews, and looking at whatever gear, trucks, props, uniforms, any type of thing we might want to be filming or where we might want to film. We wanted to check into that as early as possible. One of the unexpected things that came up was rain. And the rain was coming on the day we were planning to film interviews. And we were planning to film interviews in giant empty warehouses and an airplane hangar, which had metal or tin roofs, which was going to be terrible with rain. So we decided to flip the schedule, and we decided to shoot more interior things, and we were able, fortunately, to move the interviews to a different day, and so it worked out. We also then took advantage of the rain, and going for a cinematic style, we braved the rain and cold, and the poor guys that went out to do the PT in the rain, we put them through a lot. In doing any type of rigorous workout things for filming with repetition and doing a couple of different takes, or just doing options and changing it up to have variation of people doing different activities, they were real troopers. They hung with this, they put up with it. We had a lot of fun. You'll notice, however, that we didn't have proper rain gear. We weren't planning for rain, but we may do with some trash bags, and it's not the most flattering look, but sometimes in a pinch you gotta do what you gotta do. And Alex was a real trooper as well, and we had a lot of fun actually with the guys, and they really owned it. They rolled around in the mud, they crawled through mud, they were flipping tires, running, just giving it their all for this project, and it really came across well on screen and translated well into some beautiful cinematic footage for the project. Remember those cinematic shots from the Army promo videos? Here's how we attempted to pull that off for this project. There was a big empty warehouse on campus that was in the process of renovation, so it wasn't finished, which was perfect for us. The windows that I was hoping for ended up being a little higher in the room than I had thought, and so trying to get enough light or a beam of light through there wasn't going to work. We were also then filming this footage on the rainy day, so it was overcast, which also meant we weren't going to get strong beams of sunlight coming through. And we also didn't have the resources to get a large light that we could use to act as the sun or whatever to put a beam of light into the room. But I really wanted that flare. So part of that was having a massive fogger, and the Alert campus, because they do fire rescue or fire training, they have what's actually called battle foggers that put out massive amounts of smoke and fog in a very short amount of time, which we were able to utilize. And they had a team that knew how to use it and fix it when it broke, and that was a great resource to have. So we used the fog for the atmospheric. We used some other lights, but I still was not able to quite get that beam. And it was Alex who had the idea to get an LED flashlight, hold it near the other light source, and just kind of spike the lens with it. Just from a distance, you could hit the lens and it would create a flare, and it also gave a more pinpoint stream of light through the fog over the guy's shoulders that then created those shafts of light coming through that I was hoping for. So teamwork makes the dream work. We then kind of cheated the lights around. We cheated the way the guys were doing the formation to have the light be in the positions we needed to get the shots we wanted. We tried some close-ups, we tried some wide shots, we did moving shots. They had pallet moving jacks that we used to roll on. We didn't have a lot of fancy gear for this. We were doing the best we could with the little we had and stretching it really hard, having a lot of fun, trying to make as much epicness as we could. The interviews were filmed with matching C100 Mark II. We had C100 Mark IIs for the project because we wanted to shoot some slow-mo elements and we needed the 60 frames per second to achieve that well. The key light was an Aperture 120T, which we had to use gels to daylight balance. We had a few other little LEDs that we used to augment backlight, side light, fill light, just to kind of round out. Try to help it feel as natural as possible, like it was motivated from the windows or could be natural to the location we were filming in. But also we wanted to make sure it was bright enough to see, not too dark or moody. Because it's a short video, I needed some of the interview clips to end up being pretty short, but also powerful and punchy. To kind of help with that, I crafted a few questions that were a little more devil's advocate. This helped get some statements that were around the deeper motivations, more of the why the program was run the way it was, why the format was the way it was, as opposed to just what they did or even how they did it, but why they did it. And the heart behind it was really important for this video. One of the skills that we wanted to expand on in this video was the firefighting training that they do at the program. However, we didn't have a lot of real fire elements to work with, so we used the lights we had with strong orange gels and again fog, always more fog, to create smoke in this case, but it also created atmospheric elements that also expanded that orange light into the room more. My brother had a smart idea to use a shiny side of a reflector disc, and if you wiggled it back and forth, it created a flicker effect in the light as opposed to just static orange light. In some of the fire scenes, we had some shots of the guys walking down a long hallway, but there were a lot of windows coming through the side, so we blacked out a few of those, strategically left a few of them open, and we put some yellow lights outside one of the windows to then start creating some contrast of the daylight versus the warm light. You can also see in the fire scenes we had some blue light coming in through a doorway. We also had blue light coming off the flashlights, headlamps that were on their helmets to create some dual color contrast for the scene, to create some more visual interest, so it wasn't just all orange. We wanted to have some depth to it. Yes, filming guys in full firefighting gear and fire trucks is amazing. Lights going, we did wait till it got a little bit darker out so we could see the lights on the trucks more vividly. We also wanted to do a shot of the firemen in silhouette against an orange background. So we used one of the locations, a large location with large windows. We used our lights to backlight the fog so that we had the orange effect, and then we had the guys walk towards the doors, away from the doors, to get some of the silhouette shots against that orange background. Unfortunately, the shot didn't end up in the final video. Interestingly though, we had so much fog in that building. By the time we were done, we had large fans to defog the building, and it was a calm night, and it just all came out and settled through the creeks and rivers that run through the campus. We used a lot of fog on this project. While we were featuring one of the fire trucks predominantly in the video, we also had them bring other fire trucks and even a police car to provide more lights, more kind of flashing chaos of an emergency scene. And of course we had fog. We were using outdoors, just some more depth to also emulate the smoke that might be happening from a nearby fire or whatever the scene would be. But we had the guys in and out of trucks, carrying things, trying to do what they would normally do in a situation and capturing that. Tons of fun with response vehicles, and the guys just really got into it as well. For the theme of brotherhood, as the men were climbing over the giant wall, we had guys staged reach out, grab hands, helping pull the other guy over the wall. Guys, hands on shoulders, giving direction, mentoring, which that also worked in as well, the mentoring side. And then spiritual disciplines, we did some filming with guys doing personal devotions. We also filmed some of their teaching classes where they do things on the whiteboard, and it's more of an academic side of things. We made sure to include those elements in the project as well.
From the bottom to the top, leadership across the board is involved in these guys' lives because the men are the mission.
what we're aiming for is that we would train men to serve. Now, if you're going to serve, you have to have tools to do that with.
Once we were done filming, it was time to start editing all of this footage we captured, plus all of the footage that was already available to use. We started by making selections of the things that we liked, and I even put a few pieces together to start finding moments that might work as little scenes. I also chose footage that would match well with the footage we had filmed, so there wasn't a lot of disparity or difference between the looks and feels of the footage. We wanted to feel like it was as unified as possible across the visual. Their mission statement is forging extraordinary young men, and we wanted to find a way to fit in a visual element for the forging concept. But one of the ideas that kind of ended up coming through to the end was some footage underneath the logo at the end of sparks flying, fire flickering sparks that would come off of someone who's forging a sword or some sort of blacksmith workshop. Just kind of slightly reminiscent of that, but also fit in with the overall looks and themes of the emergency response and kind of that dramatic, strong, manly, epic feel to the project as well. We hadn't originally planned on sound design. We were planning just the interviews and the music. But as we got into it and saw the footage and the overall feel of the project, we realized we had an opportunity to make this project just even a little better. I started by laying in some ideas for footsteps, birds, atmosphere, but then specific things that would match what we saw, the hammer as they were working on the roof. But I quickly realized I was going to need someone else to help mix it and even provide some better sound effects than I had access to. I contacted Joseph Santoyo, who did a fantastic job of mixing all of the different, from the interview voices to the sound effects and design, and even blending in the music. He did a great job. I actually was able to see the video played at a large convention, which is usually not a great venue for great sound. It can be a lot real echoey, and it played flawlessly. You could understand everything they were saying. The music still had punch. I was very, very pleased with the work he did in really elevating this project to the next level. So then we turned into color, and it wasn't a lot of dramatic color. This is a before, here's an after. It was more just some subtle touch-up type stuff. So it wasn't always a lot, but then it was also taking the other footage that had been previously filmed and matching it to what we had filmed. And so we wanted those. So again, this is previous footage that we were using. There's a before, there's after, just warmed it up a little bit. And then here is a before and an after, but we need those to then somewhat match back to back. As we finished the project, it was time to start seeing what the results might be. The whole goal was to raise awareness for the program and help grow the program and attendance. The previous promo video that was 10 minutes had about 20,000 views. I was really excited to see the new video within 24 hours of being posted had 15,000 views, which was really exciting. That meant more people were watching it online. It was a better format for social media for them. It also had a ton of comments. A lot of it was people tagging their friends saying, "This is the program I've been telling you about. This is the program my brother or son just went through this last summer," which was also encouraging to say this was helpful for other people trying to explain the program to their friends. And if it was able to be explained better, hopefully that would raise attendance. Most encouraging was the numbers the next year. It's been a couple years since we made the project, and the next year, attendance was up noticeably for their fall and spring phases that they run. So to see the growth in the program was a huge success and win for the project as a whole. The video went on to win Best Promo Video at the Christian Worldview Film Festival, and also won a Best Cinematography Award and Best Commercial Award at the Content 18 Festival. More than awards, helping our clients be successful, helping other people know about them and want to engage, helping grow their audience is really the success we're looking for. And we're really excited to see how the video has been used by Alert and has been helpful for their program. So there's an overview look of the Alert promo video project. We hope you enjoy the final video as much as we enjoyed creating it.
Alert changed my view on what godly manhood looks like.
I believe in the mission of forging extraordinary men for the cause of Christ.